You're going to destroy the whole planet, Father! You've got to stop it!
Trunks, let's go!
Final Flash!
Oh shit!
Hey everyone, this is Poohead189, and today we're going to be talking about one of the most popular techniques in all of Dragon Ball. As you guessed from the title, it's the Final Flash, one of Vegeta's most iconic techniques, alongside with the Gallic Gun and the Big Bang Attack. It's very thematic for Vegeta, as pretty much every attack Vegeta is famous for is a destructive, straightforward attack meant to cause as much damage as possible. Ever since Vegeta learned how to power up in the time between the Saiyan and Namek sagas, he has generally been very good at raising his battle power and causing attacks that can really rip through opponents. Despite his size, Vegeta tends to be a brute force, heavy firepower kind of fighter. Now it's true we only ever really see the Final Flash just once in the original manga, when Vegeta is in his ascended Super Saiyan form, and he realizes Cell in his perfect form outmatches him in almost every way. Vegeta does a gambit, where he raises himself up and provokes Cell into taking his attack head-on, and then he puts all of his energy into his Final Flash. Now, the attack itself seems to be, or at least at first appears, to be a huge attack that would cause widespread destruction, like Dodoria's Maximum Buster. Yet during his one and only Final Flash in the series, Vegeta narrows the beam at the last second to keep it from destroying the Earth. I would say it's very strange that Perfect Cell was not concerned about the Earth being destroyed, yet he was concerned about it with Goku's instant transmission Kamehameha, but I guess we could theorize either Cell figured Vegeta would do what he ended up doing, or that since he had just turned perfect, his ego was at an all-time high and he likely felt nothing could touch him, hence why he stayed put and realized only at the last moment that the Final Flash would do some significant damage to his body. And the Final Flash did. Despite Cell having plenty of energy left to defeat Vegeta, and Cell still being able to keep up with Trunks later, the Final Flash did manage to take off half of Cell's torso, which is no small thing, really, particularly because of the differences in power between Vegeta and Cell. Now, while that is the only confirmed usage of the Final Flash in the original manga, it's obviously very popular in the video games, and it's used in filler a few times. Once when Vegeta is fighting a Cell Jr., and I also believe he does something much like it when fighting Goku during the early Buu saga. Though I do need to mention that Vegeta also performed a very early version, or what I like to call a proto-Final Flash, on Namek, when he is fighting Recoome. He makes the same hand movements, and he launches the attack the exact same way, and it does manage to tear up Recoome's armor and give him some minor wounds. The main difference between this version and the Cell Saga version is the fact that Vegeta never names it, it's less controlled, and it does not have the same strength as the Cell one. And when I say that, I don't mean Vegeta is weaker, I mean that its strength is slightly lesser in comparison to Vegeta's strength at the time, even though it obviously is still a very powerful attack for the time. I also need to note that the Proto-Final Flash is called the Final Crash on Dragon Ball Wiki, and that's likely taken from the video games. By the way, I do need to note that there is another possible variation that Kid Trunks uses, likely from watching his dad train, where he uses the same hand movements to fire his own attack. Only when he launches his attack, both of his hands are clasped together in the shape of a gun to fire an almost Big Bang Attack-esque ball of energy. Hard to say if this is Trunks trying to make a spin on Vegeta's Final Flash and Big Bang Attack, or it's just a weird coincidence, but I felt like I did need to at least mention it. Now, the main question about the Final Flash against Cell is when Vegeta created the technique. Obviously, if the Proto-Final Flash he used on Namek was a close predecessor, we would still need to guess when he perfected it. It is pretty likely he developed the Big Bang Attack during the 3-year training arc between Future Trunks' arrival and the Android Saga, so it is possible he created the Final Flash then too. However, seeing as he fought a losing battle against Android 18 and did not utilize it, I think it is most likely he created the technique in the Hyperbolic Time Chamber, or the Room of Spirit and Time, as that would be the perfect place to practice such a destructive technique without worry on collateral damage, and worrying about someone like Goku learning off of his new technique. Oh, also, in the anime, Vegito uses a variation called the Final Kamehameha, which is obviously a mix between the Kamehameha and the Final Flash when fighting Buhan. It's not in the manga, but it is in the anime and a number of video games, and it's a fairly popular version of the technique. Okay guys, that's about all we have to say about the Final Flash today. Thanks for watching the video, hope you all enjoyed it. I know it wasn't a long video, but despite the popularity of the Final Flash, it's a very simple, straightforward move that we don't get a bunch of nuance or subtlety on, so there's not much need to parse out. Also, before I end the video, I do want to say that I have just made a long video, almost an hour long, on the basics of Warhammer 40k and its lore on my other channel, and I will put that in the description below if you want to listen to something while you're cooking or whatever. I just want to say that I have just made another really long video if you want to learn about Warhammer 40k and you don't know much about it. Okay, if you think I deserve it, giving a like or maybe a subscription would be awesome, and I always welcome comments. Plus, if you got some extra change lying around, I have a Patreon in the description if you'd like to join. Okay guys, thanks so much. I'll see you.